The Unfair Advantage.
Hello, Kelvin Jonck.
Don Packett.
Episode number 3. Can you believe we got this far? We got this. Look, just out of interest, you started Unfair Advantage years and years and years ago during COVID, right? But now, so this is a bit of a rebirth.
It's a bit of a rebirth. I'm glad to see that 5,000 people listened to episode 1 and 2. So very excited. Thanks to everybody that listened. Great stats.
Magic. Yes, and you must go back because we spoke about leapfrog mindsets. We spoke about product-led growth. And today we're going to be delving a little deeper, of course, because that's what we do. KJ, you've spoken a lot about these things called value moments, right? Yeah. When we talk about leapfrog mindsets, product-led growth, all that kind of stuff, everything centers around these number of little things called value moments. What are these little things you keep talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with value moments these days, and maybe the best way to explain it is start with this concept of value that a business provides and brings to the customer, right? A lot of times companies they haven't really defined what the value is. They've got their values and they know what products they're selling, but they haven't really distilled what is this one value that they're coming. So if I had to think of, let's say, the meditation apps, Calm or Headspace or something similar, the value that they're bringing is mental health in your pocket, simple on-the-go mental health. And maybe Naked Insurance would be offering something like easy, uncomplicated insurance access, right?
And now banking apps are supposed to make your life easier, and make having you manage your money easier, right? Not all of them do that well, of course, but that's the idea. That's this value moment, right? Help me make my life easier and better. Give me value, right?
Exactly.
So are you giving me the thing that you promised?
Right. That contract. We spoke about the contract before, and we will again. We've signed a contract virtually. You've made a promise. Are you getting that promise? So there's another concept then. They've all got the same words in them. The value exchange, right? And the value exchange is where the business actually gets something back from the customer. This could be
the other part of the contract, right?
The other part of the contract, exactly. So the value exchange would be customer buys something, checks out and buys something from your store, or it's signing up to your premium service after having used the freemium service, or it's just renewing and not canceling their ongoing subscription. And another kind of overlooked value exchange is the customer sharing information with you, right? Information is valuable to the customer, or to the business, I should say, and being in a position where the customer is willing to share information about themselves, their preferences, their needs, their wishes, that could be a value exchange as well. So companies should be striving towards that kind of thing.
I love how you said willing to give that information. I love that. I love that quote. I think it's Andrew Lewis that said, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, or something similar to that, which is, I mean, it's technically not always the case with free online platforms, but it's definitely a valid perspective on the business models of these free spaces, right? So, so hopefully should be some sort of exchange, willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, activity. And I'm going to give you something, whether it's money or information, behavior. Attention is also a commodity that companies are looking for these days. There's a list of interests and I suppose needs that companies have.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we see a lot of our people that we speak to focus on is the company's primary metrics often focus on that value exchange, right? Is how much money did we make last month? How many conversions did we get? How many upsells were there? How many subscriptions were there? But I think a lot of the people in our team, strongly believe that there's a metric that's potentially more important that they should be focusing on, and that's this thing called the value moment, right? So there is this action, or there is this event where the customer receives the value that you are offering them, and they can go, that's why I'm here. That's why I signed up. That's why I logged back in today. That's why I log on every day. That's why I log on once a month because I know that I'm going to get that value from the brand that I'm potentially paying for, or I'm going to pay for, or I'm going to have some value exchange. That aha moment is what we call the value moments. And ideally, you should be optimizing to maximize the number of value moments that the customer receives from you.
I think also just considering something like LinkedIn, which is potentially slowly becoming a bit of a dumpster fire. They're adding things like games, right? So I love these little quick games that I can play in less than a minute, because I can see there's other people that are playing as well. I can see how fast I'm doing against my connections, against the entire world of LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. So they're adding these little extra things. Now that I'm starting to think about it, I'm just a pawn in a little game. Literally adding these little things, adding value moments to keep me coming back.
Sure. I mean, maybe in that case, your value has changed. Their value has changed. New York Times did the same thing. They took their news service and turned it into a gaming platform. But if it works, it works.
So tell me about some other companies that you've got on your list. So, we often share with people just to give them ideas and suggestions of what value moments could be. We have examples of companies. Any local examples that you can share around value moments, and why aren't these value moments the same as value exchanges? Like, what is that clarity or the difference between those?
I mean, in some cases, the value moment and the value exchange is the same event. So me going to Takealot and purchasing my wish list of products, all in stock, get it at a good price. I know I'm going to get it delivered. I click, confirm, and I pay. I am receiving value at the same time that I'm exchanging value back to Takealot. So I'm like, okay, cool. I found everything I wanted. It'll be delivered when I want it, because I know they've promised that before. Another value moment, by the way, is when I do receive that product on time. So there's two potential value moments there. But in many other businesses, they are different, right? I believe that if companies optimize for value moments, their customers will be happier. They're going to spend more. They're going to be stickier, and they're just going to have a higher lifetime value. So take maybe not a local example, but we spoke about Calm and Headspace, right? And I sign up. Maybe I sign up on the freemium version first. I'm not paying anything. Maybe I go straight to the paid subscription because I've heard somebody rave about it before. But in their model, they need me to stay subscribed as long as possible. That initial sign up is just step one in a much longer relationship that I'm going to have. So they need to maximize the number of value exchanges, monthly subscriptions that they can get out of me. So to do this, they have to ensure that I can have as many value moments as possible from them, because that means that I will not cancel, right? The more value moments in 1 month, the more likely I won't cancel my subscription. And so as maybe a product manager at Calm or Headspace, we do the analysis, we use the data, and it turns out that members who complete at least 2 meditation sessions per week are less likely to cancel the subscription. Boom. That's our value moment, but it's also our focus metric, because now we know that we need to strive to get Kelvin and the 100,000 other people who have signed up. We need to get them to complete at least 2 sessions per month or per week, not 1, because we've seen that the people who do it once, they're more likely to churn. 4 is fine, but maybe it's overkill. Golden number is 2. And so that kind of number goes straight to the top of our dashboard. It becomes our North Star metric, and we optimize for that. If we focus all of our energy into optimizing for that one thing amongst maybe a couple of other things, suddenly our retention rate increases, our churn rate drops, our lifetime value keeps increasing, and all of those value exchange metrics that we thought were the drivers actually become the metrics that are what's the word, lagging, leading. Always forget the right thing, but they occur because our our focus metric is the one driving the engine. So most people find value in a product leads to better reviews as well, and those reviews then turn into word of mouth, and that brings more acquisition. So this whole flywheel occurs because we've optimized to providing value in the sense of value moments again and again and again.
Yeah. So I mean, tracking the metrics as it's going, something like Calm, Headspace, et cetera, games, you can track those activities and those moments. But there's also, I suppose personally, so I'm a big fan of wine, and I also find these value moments happen outside of the digital experience. So last week I got an email from Alvi's Drift. I'm on their wine club for whatever particular reason. I probably signed up. And they said, exclusive 50 cases max of this reserve Viognier. And so now I feel special because I'm part of the wine club. I order stuff. So that my value moment first is I feel special. Then when it arrives, I feel special. And then when I drink it, which could be, I haven't opened a bottle yet, but it could be on a warmer afternoon and I decide to open it up, and then I still have almost certainly I'll remember this whole journey of how I got here. But that value moment is now gone completely outside. They knew when I ordered, they knew when it arrived, but they actually don't know when I'm drinking and enjoying this, right? So that's not trackable.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great example, because that's many companies are going to be like that. Not everybody can be a digital product only. But if it's not trackable, you're right, you can't really optimize for it. However, there's a number of tactics that people are using around the world to be able to close that gap. So in the case of Alvi's Drift, right, you've bought the product online, they've got all that information, they know that you've received it, hopefully on time, they can probably track that kind of information. So there's potentially a value moment that they can add to their metrics that says you did receive it online. Perhaps there's something along the lines of giving you a week or 2 weeks to hopefully test that, and then reaching out to you in some way and saying, hey, Don, how's that wine you ordered from us? Did you try it? Why don't you rate it? Give us a rating out of 5, similar to Vivino or whatever. Tell us whether this year was better than the previous year. In which way they, first of all, get your engagement, but they're also getting their feedback as to whether you received value in that moment, which whether you liked it or not, they gave you what you asked for. And they get additional value exchange. They're getting more information back from you. They're immediately knowing. So I think there's a number of tactics to closing that online-offline gap that they can get into.
And the data nerd in me would then want to say, because they know where I live, so to track the weather. And if I bought a white wine in wintertime, they know I'm almost certainly not going to be drinking that, probably, depending on what kind of wine it is. So maybe on a warmer day, say, hey, have you tried the Viognier yet? It's to tie into that kind of measures as well from a data perspective anyway.
Yeah.
Kelvin, we have a minute and a half left, and we were very terrible in episodes 1 and 2 in our timing. So to wrap up, what should companies be doing or thinking about right now in order to maximize these value moments?
Yeah. So we generally work on a 3-step process. Define what your true value is to the customer, kind of turn it into a succinct thing. Don't go with the first answer. Go through a little bit of a brainstorm in terms of working out what that is. From that, define what those value moments are during the journey for the customer. And then take those value moments and turn it into a metric. Define what that North Star metric is, and put it up on the top of your dashboard that you look at every day, hopefully, and optimize for that. But grind, like as much as you can, ensure that things are driven towards optimizing that number, and don't just look at it as a nice to have.
Yeah, love it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Episode 3 down. Very, very, very excited about where we're going to take it next, and looking forward to the next ep.
That's it. Let's get a guest on.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you.
Bye.
The unfair advantage.